Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Cielo.
I'm Jonathan with an S.
I'm Jonathan with an F.
I'm Victoria.
I'm Catherine.
I got 5 people. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go. Here, I'm gonna have her hold it. Okay. So, this is my persuasive speech. It's called, the title is Why Ghosts Are Super Real, because I thought that was a good title. It's not. So, ghosts. The definition, a ghost is the spirit of a dead person that either has not moved on to the afterlife or has returned from it, from Tracy Wilson. An age-old topic that has people on all sides of the fence. I personally believe in ghosts so hard, but my best friend, for instance, doesn't even consider the possibility. Society and families play a role in how and if we believe, and in my opinion, as I grew up with a mother who often spoke about personal experiences with ghosts, while Danny, my best friend, has always been told that ghosts were a hoax and nothing to be taken seriously. Ghosts are just one of those things you have to have faith in, one of the mysteries of life and death meeting together. Today, I will bring up 3 main ideas about the world surrounding ghosts. 1, the history of ghosts, when they became such a big part of culture and society, the doubts surrounding their ability to be real, but why they are, and the types of ghosts haunting our realm. The history of ghosts is surprisingly more extensive than I thought it was, and all the information I'm about to present comes from Kathy Owen, Walt Charles, and they're both named Walt Bissell, who all run a website called Angels and Ghosts, which talks about personal and historical experiences with ghosts. The following things I'm about to read are all historical instances of ghosts. 1930 BC, this is a biblical reference actually. Saul is terrified and seeks God for guidance. However, God does not respond to Saul's visions through the words and prophets or by any other means. Saul, therefore, seeks the help of a medium to conjure the spirit of Samuel the prophet, who had been dead and buried years before. Saul indeed finds his medium, the so-called Witch of Endor, who subsequently succeeds in calling forth the spirit of Samuel. It's a biblical example of, ghosts. In 112 AD, ancient Rome, Philony wrote a classically terrifying apparition in a letter to fellow Roman government officials. One in particular, Lucius Lincurus Sada. The tale is among the first haunted house stories to ever be recorded. In the story, Philony describes a house in which the apparition of an old man, emaciated, bearded, and burdened with heavy chains, plagues and inhabits the area. Those who bought or rented the house became so frightened that they evacuated the property. Finally, a philosopher who was identified as something I can't say, because I don't know how to read that well, takes up residence there. However, the sound of rattling chains and moaning becomes so dreadfully loud and terrifying that the guy whose name I can't pronounce can't take it any longer. He follows the ghost to a spot outside the house, whereupon the figure disappears. The guy marks the spot with grass and leaves it for the morning, and then he digs it up, and it's, they find a corpse of a man who was, heavy chained in there, and so it's, proof that they're real. 16th century, King Henry sought a male heir, having no success with previous wives. Henry married a good old lady named Anne Boleyn. Sadly, however, she never bore a son, only succeeded in miscarrying a male child. As the church did not permit divorce, King Henry sought to trump up false charges against Anne, including adultery, so as to have her be executed. He succeeded in setting up his wife, and she was beheaded at the Tower of London on May 19th, 1536, and subsequently buried within the Tower of London in an arrow chest. It is said that in 1817, a sentry at the tower encountered Anne's ghostly headless apparition and promptly died of a heart attack. World War II. It is said that Sir Winston Churchill, Prime Minister of England during World War II, would not stay the night in the Lincoln bedroom of the White House upon seeing that he reported as the apparition of none other than Abraham Lincoln himself was in it. And then 1930. This one is known as Resurrection Mary. As the story goes, young Mary went out dancing on the O. Henry Ballroom with her young lover, but they subsequently got into an argument. Following the dispute, Mary leaves the ballroom to walk herself home along Chicago's Archer Avenue, whereupon she was struck and killed in a hit-and-run automobile accident. Mary was laid to rest in Chicago's Resurrection Cemetery in her white dancing gown and shoes. One Chicago resident, Jerry Pulse, describes a chilling encounter in 1939 in which he picked up a young lady hitchhiking. She asked to be let out in front of the Resurrection Cemetery, kissed the man, and disappeared without a trace. So the overview of everything that I just shared with you. All of these stories and experiences are equally chilling and interesting, especially in the way that all the experiences, even some with the same ghost, are different depending on the person. For the Anne Boyle ghost, you have one person promptly die of a heart attack while another guard says he struck a sword through her and was knocked unconscious by a fiery shock as soon as the metal passed through her. I think each instance is powerful in its own way and told by people who are extremely passionate and sure about what they saw or experienced. But also, because ghosts are faith-based belief, I think it's beneficial for me to talk about some of the reasons people doubt the existence of ghosts. So, on to point 2. One of the biggest reasons many don't believe in ghosts is the science aspect. Scientists have spoken about how they're just myths and conspiracies used for entertainment and for people to have some sort of belief in the afterlife. I'm going to talk about some reasons it's believed ghosts are hoaxes. One of the main points brought up is, are ghosts material or not? Either they can move through solid objects without disrupting them, or they can slam doors shut and throw objects across the room. According to logic and the laws of physics, it's either one or the other. If ghosts are human souls, why do they appear clothed and with inanimate objects like hats, canes, and dresses? Not to mention there are many reports of ghost trains, cars, and carriages. From Benjamin Rathford. Second point. If ghosts are the spirits of those whose deaths were unavenged, why are there unsolved murders, since ghosts are said to have communicate with psychic mediums, and should be able to identify their killers for the police? This isn't really like a scientific one. I just thought it was like an interesting point to bring up. Third one. Infrasound is sound at levels so low humans can't hear it. Low frequency vibrations can cause distinct psychological discomfort. Scientists studying the effects of wind turbines and traffic noise near residents have found that low frequency noise can cause disorientation, feelings of panic, changes in heart rate and blood pressure, and other effects that could easily be associated with being visited by a ghost. From Sonsi Ferro. Overview of that. These are valid types of doubts to have for something that cannot have hard evidence to prove its reality without question. I find that intriguing because it's one end or the other of extremes. Either they're 100% real or they're 100% fake. And there is no gray area. I understand that sometimes people believe in ghosts purely for the hope of an afterlife or because everyone else around them does it, which is a type of psychological shaping. But then we think about religion and how none of it is really 100% fact-based. It's about faith and understanding of something you can't necessarily see or capture, but you can feel. I think asking something like this to be able to be proved through and through with no doubt is a bit unreasonable because almost nothing in life is like that. And I bring up my third point. Lastly, I will be discussing some of the different types of ghosts, which is surprisingly a lot, and I will be getting all of the following information from our good friends over at Angels and Ghosts. So, I'm only going to talk about 4 types, because there's like thousands. First one, familiar. A belief regarding familiar spirits teaches them to be helpful. Animal spirits, taking the shapes of cats, dogs, owls, snakes, and wolves. Familiar spirits such as these are believed to have magical powers and may also have been oriented from tribal societies, being similar to like totem poles, so like personal or like spirit animals. Shadow people. Shadow people are dark human shapes typically seen moving at night and the most common form of ghost that people witness. Shadow is an indication of spiritual condition. It is the absence of light. Shadow people are disembodied humans who are lost, having not gone forward in life's journey by refusing to go toward the light that will carry them fully into the next realm after death of the physical body. Then you have family. Some families are known to pass down different odd types of ghost experiences, whose appearances seem to have precursors to family tragedies. These types of family ghosts may be ominous sounds that are heard, such as knocking or ticking, and many times they are apparitions, but they are not always the ghosts of people. Some examples of the phantoms may be seen through appearances as animals, such as birds, fishes, and dogs, plants, like ivy trees, or even inanimate objects, such as clocks, cars, or bells. And the fourth one, are grief. When people suffer from grief caused by the loss of a family member or friend, it is quite common for ghosts of loved ones to be seen, felt, or even heard. Most ghost sightings witnessed during times of grief are positive, comforting experiences. The phenomenon can be found across culture lines, indicating that it is not something isolated to a particular faith. The overview is, there isn't one type of ghost. There are many that appear in different situations for different intentions to different people. Having a strong belief heightens your awareness for ghosts or spirits surrounding you or others, which I find extremely interesting. In conclusion, the existence of ghosts goes all the way back to the biblical era and has continued with us to modern day. Millions of people, past and present, have shared their experiences with those who have not yet passed on to the afterlife, and they've given passionate and raw testimonies to it. The belief in ghosts relies on a certain amount of research and faith, like many things in the universe that cannot be 100% proven. Each one has an experience, each one of us has experienced something in our lives that science and logic just can't always explain. And I urge you to look into that. Search into that experience and see if there's something there that is more than just the logic of our human world. And maybe one of the millions of mysteries our universe holds about the afterlife. Thank you. Oh, you don't gotta clap.
I like it.